Today we're vaccinating our entire flock with an 8-way vaccine. It covers a lot of different things that they might run into, and I'll go into more detail later. We're a little bit late on doing this, but I'll explain why in a bit. But right now we're going to try to run all these guys through and give them the shots. That's a good way to start. Come here, Courage. You're gonna be my tough one. In the corner. Okay. Ooh, you done got pumped, girl. Yeah, baby. You're done. Well, I got the ornery street one done first. Little Miss Courage. Come here, Dottie. There you go, you're done. That's okay. We can have spectators. All right, let's get that little one. Come here, 18. Come here, 18. You're all right. All right, so y'all are done. Get y'all marked down. Rub the hair off your neck. So we got Missy. Can you say Missy? And Willow. Willow.
Say Willow.
Willow.
Quiet. Say Willow.
And Duck. Ducky. Right there. All right. Now, y'all can go play. There you go. All right, we'll just sit there.
Here comes Ducky.
All right, 3 more.
Wash your hands. Say that's it.
got a voice.
Yeah, she does.
All right, that was Coco, Kit, and Freckles. We're making good progress, guys. Head on out. Follow Coco.
Yeah.
Follow Kit. Come on, follow Kit. Come on, Freckles.
Right here, Ryan. Right here. Wait, that's my baby. Look at the new one that was born yesterday, baby.
Young buck. That's good.
See? I was gonna let some cat. He's gonna get some babies this time.
So this is our latest little lamb. It was born yesterday to Sweet Pea, and Sweet Pea was Precious's lamb from last year. So she lambed when she was about 11 months old, and we ain't named her yet, but it's a ewe. So it's a little girl. We're happy about that. Come on, Sweet Pea. Come here, baby. And we'll just get your mama whenever we get her. I don't like you. We'll get your mom. We did get her mom. We'll get you reaching out in a minute, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, you need.
There you go. There you go. Go on. Go, Casper. Go.
Where's Sweet Pea go?
Hold on. Hold on. Lined up to go out. Move on out. All right, girl. Woo. Fine. Come on. Get you lined up here. Oh, let's make it hard. I got you. I got you. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. I know which ones. There you go. Good job. Good girl. Whew. You can go out. Wow. That was a chore. That's how much out of this vaccine bottle that we had left over, so not enough to do one. Worked out just right. So we'll have to do this again in 6 weeks. We'll give them a booster shot. It won't be as, it was 5 milliliters today. The booster will be 2 milliliters. And here in just a moment, I'll explain to you why we're even doing this. So this morning, while we were working on the vaccine for the flock, our new little lamb just started acting. We didn't vaccinate her yet. I wanted to, but she started showing some signs of not doing well. She wasn't responding to her mom. Her mom was trying to get her to come on out into the field with her, and she wouldn't get up. And then she just kind of looked really lethargic. So I stopped vaccinating for a little bit, and we picked her up and took her to the house. Her temperature was a little low. It wasn't terribly low, but she was a little, a degree or two lower than she should have been. So we put her in a tub on a heat pad and covered her up and tried to give her some colostrum replacement. We probably got a couple of ounces in her. And of course her mom was very upset being separated. And so I put her in here in the medical bay. And part of my concern is that this is a first time ewe, and she just doesn't have a very big milk bag. And I was afraid that maybe the baby wasn't getting any milk at all. But I just brought her back down here, and she went straight to her mom's bag. She went straight to latching on, and her little tail is wagging. So that kind of tells me she's getting something. It might not be a lot. We may have to supplement her a little bit until maybe the rest of her milk comes in, or we may have to supplement her until she doesn't really need it anymore. But we'll do what we need to do. But that's a good sign. Her strength is back up, and she was very happy to see her mom, and her mom was happy to see her, and I'm happy to put them back together. So we're going to keep them in here together to make sure that they don't break their bind while we're interfering a little bit. We'll make sure she gets plenty of feed. Maybe that'll help bring in the milk a little faster. Make sure she's got plenty of water, and just kind of give her the 5-star treatment. So today was a long day of working the animals through our corral system and getting them vaccinated. I want to give you a little background on why we're choosing now to vaccinate versus any other time. And it really goes back to the philosophy that we went into sheep farming with. So we had studied sheep for about 3 years before we bought the first one. And there's a lot of different perspectives out there on management styles, how much intervention is good and profitable. I follow a lot of different folks on YouTube that have been doing this for a long time. And we had decided that we wanted to pursue the idea of having a flock eventually that did not need to have their feet trimmed or their hooves trimmed, did not need to be vaccinated, did not need to be medicated, did not need to be wormed. And that is achievable because there's people out there who are doing it. The cost of doing that, the upside of doing that is you have very low input costs that are basically expenses that come off your profitability. And it can reduce the amount of labor because if you're not having to run them through a sheep system and about every 2 or 3 months or 4 months and trim their feet, that's a lot less time you have to involve yourself in the day-to-day care of the flock. And it sounded good. It sounded like that would be something worth pursuing. And I guess going into it, we knew the cost on paper. We knew the cost would be you have to let animals die that can't meet that expectation. And that's how you get a flock that meets those criteria. That's a high bar. But the way you get there is you cull the ones that show signs, and you lose a lot of animals to death that just can't measure up. On paper, it seemed like maybe a challenge worth going through to get to that kind of a flock, that sort of idealistic flock. but we have decided, at least as far as vaccinations are concerned, we're not willing to pay that price. The cost of vaccines is relatively inexpensive. I mean, we just vaccinated 50 some odd sheep, and the vial for that was about $65. And we'll have to do it again in 6 weeks to give them a booster, and then they'll be good for a year. And then they'll have to get a booster once a year after that. I'm willing to pay that. I'm not willing to watch them die because I won't pay that, and I won't spend the time that it takes to vaccinate them. We've lost a few lambs this year, and we lost a few lambs last year in the last lambing season, and there is going to be some loss. I mean, that's just part of dealing with livestock. You can't save them all, but I do think we lost some that we didn't have to lose had we vaccinated when we were supposed to. It's like a lot of things. You have to try and see what the results are before you can really know. We looked at it on paper and we had a decision, and we thought that it made sense, and we thought that we could live with it. But I guess I'm just too soft-hearted. I just can't watch these animals suffer when really not that much more expense and not that much more effort can save their life and make them productive. So we've got lots of other things to consider as we continue this journey, but we made the decision recently that we were going to treat our sheep with vaccinations, and we will continue to do that from now on. And I forgot to mention, there is actually, vaccinations are not risk-free. They can actually die from the vaccines. That's on the label. They can have anaphylactic shock. I actually carried an EpiPen in my pocket in case somebody had a reaction. We did see one or two that kind of got sluggish for a little while, but they seemed to bounce back okay within a few hours. So I'm sure it made them feel bad, but that was another factor that went into this. It's not risk-free, but I think the gain is worth the risk.
Papa, the baby sheep. No. I don't think. Oh.